Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV International and from a very special place here in Egypt from the Sea Scout Club, dear viewers, on the Nile banks from a very wonderful place here in Egypt on a very wonderful day with wonderful weather. We have with us today very special guests and we have with us to start with Mrs. Yomna Salama, a touristic guide, and in her position and titles in scouting are number 1, the member of Board Arab International Scout Center, and 2, WISM or World Organization of Movement, consultant for Safe from Harm, and number 3, her former international commissioner and member of Board Egyptian Federation for Scouts and Guides. A very good day, Mrs. Yomna, and it's a pleasure to have you with us in today's episode of Nile Cruise.
Thank you for having me.
And also we have with us, and it's a pleasure to have with us, Mr. Ossama Ahmed Abdel Nasser, an assistant training commissioner of Egyptian Sea Scout and member of training committee at Egyptian Federation for Scout and Girl Guides. A very good day, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today, of course, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yomna and Ossama. Allow me to start by you, Yomna, and the first question that comes to mind in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic challenge that we're facing, how has this past year been affected? How have you been affected here in Egypt and in the Arab world? You're a member of the you know, of the Arab International Center, so. And you have a lot of activities abroad in foreign countries, a former international commissioner. So how has this year been, how has it affected scouting in Egypt, in the Arab world and globally? I know it's a big question, but that's what we want to know.
Okay, first of all, it's a very important actually question. Scouting activities are based mainly based on outdoors activities. So of course, due to the crisis we are living nowadays and the coronavirus, all our activities, outdoor activities, were postponed till we see what's going to happen next. But as we say in scouting, there is always a way, and scouts are always very creative. So we actually managed to have most of the postponed activities online and virtual activities. So we have lots of activities for the young ones and trainings for our scout leaders online, and we had a couple of events on a regional level, on an international level, organized by the World Scout Organization, organized by the Arab region, and the coming up activity, it's called the Big Challenge for Scouts. And maybe during our interview I can talk to you more about the Big Challenge, because it's open for Scouts and non-Scouts as well to engage youth from both parties.
Great.
Ossama, of course, you've been a member of the scouting activity for the past 25 years,
Yes.
which is a lot compared
Really,
to
Ossama, how old are you anyway? I mean,
exactly.
to be a member for 25
which
years.
is a lot compared to your
Yeah.
age. You're only 31 years
Yes.
old, as you mentioned
Wow,
before.
yeah, so
interview.
since since the age of 6.
So you started at the age of 6, which
Yes.
that means you were really
Junior 1, yes.
young. Of course, this comes from passion and to the idea of being a member of the Scouts. How did you first discover your passion about scouting?
Actually, my family, my mother was a girl guide in the past, so she decided to make me part in the scout movement since junior 1. During these years, in the levels of scouts.
So your credit goes to the mom. Your
yes.
mom.
Yes. Also, after many years, I became assistant leader, then a leader for Giza Sea Scout here. Last year, I was a former training commissioner for the Giza Sea Scout. After 2 years, I'm now in the Egyptian Sea Scout assistant commissioner training for the Egyptian Sea Scouts. It was a passion for be a leader, educate yourself by team building with your colleagues. It's a wonderful movement to be useful for your community.
Yes. Yomna, I want to go back to you and ask you about the World center for scouts.
The World Organization of Scouts.
Of scouts.
Yes.
Does it include like the 200 plus countries in the world, representatives from all over the world?
Well, the WUSM, we call it WUSM.
Yes.
WUSM is actually the abbreviation for World Organization of Scout Movement. And this is, by the way, if not the biggest, one of the biggest organizations in the world for youth. And the members of the WUSM are actually national organizations. So in each country, there is a national organization. Like here in Egypt, we have the national organization, NSO is the Egyptian Federation for Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. So these are the members in the WUSM, and indeed they are in number around 186 members from all over the world, and about 50 million scouts.
Wow.
50, it's the biggest movement of youth in the entire world. But when we say, I would like to shed light that when we say the biggest movement for youth, it doesn't mean that it ends at your youth age.
Right.
Because we have the organization of fellowship. Anyone who, we always say, Ossama, right, once a scout, forever a scout. So anyone who started in scouting, like Ossama started 6 years old, me too, by the way. My mom, my aunt, my cousins, the grandfather of my father was one of the founders in scouting. So when you look in scouting around the world, not just in Egypt, you find actually scouting families. It runs in the blood, and we pass it from one generation to the other. So the World Organization of Scouting has 50 million indeed as a number, and we are growing more. And we have 6 regions. We have the African region, the Arab region, the European region, the Asia-Pacific region. We have the Inter-America region. And what else did I forget? Some African, I said the African one. So we have actually 6 regions from all over the world. And every region has its regional director. Of course, this comes through an election and selection process and many other details.
You told us, Yomna, there is a big challenge upcoming. I'm sure Rana also wants to know about it. The challenge. You said scouts and non-scouts are to participate in it, so we want to know about it.
Yes, one of the main goals of the WUSM, the World Organization of Scouting, applied also in many countries, is to engage scouts with non-scouts and to grow the number of our members. So the big challenge activity is actually a competition. It's called the Big Challenge. Actually by the Arab Scout region, organized by the Arab Scout region and our partners. Our partners are many of them. I do not really recall all the name, but one of them is the Council of Women and Children. One of them is the UN for Women. And we have many partners organizing this competition. The goal of the competition, of course, you are aware of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. We have selected 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals, such as equality between male and female, environment, culture and history, 5 of them. And the goal of the competition, it's going to be online. Scouts and non-scouts should create teams of 3 to 5, and they should work on one of the projects of the SDGs. And they will have the first prize and the second and the third, 3 runners-up. And this is going to be a regional competition through the Arab world. So you see all the members of Scouts in the Arab world and also the other youth, because this competition is going to be on the platforms of all organizations. The children organization, women, the UN is also one of our partners, Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Environment here in Egypt. So it's going to be on all the websites in our national websites and also all the Arabs.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Ossama, of course, a question that I'd like to ask. Not many here in Egypt. I've been knowing about scouting since I was a young girl when I used to be abroad. But in Egypt, it's a new concept, and it's new to Egyptians actually, or at least if it's been here for long. It's started. It's the first scout group was founded in Alexandria, brought to Egypt by the British during their occupation. So tell us please, the definition of scout for those Egyptians here in Egypt or internationally that don't know much about scouting and the definition of scouting, especially in the light, of course, that I know that scout is a very important thing that learns and teaches ethics and morals, and there's a very important logo that you guys have that cannot, you can never broke or
Yes.
do I understand
Yes.
right?
The Scout movement went born in 1097 by Lord Baden-Powell in England.
1097?
Yes, 1907.
And
Okay.
1907.
By Lord Baden-Powell. He was lord in British Army, and he founded a scout during occupation in Africa, in a place called Mafking. So he used the small child to provoke this occupation. This idea make him make the scout movement in England, in Brownsea Island, and he made the first Jamboree in Brownsea in 1907. But the scout movement, the main issue is the educational and assistance for schools and parents and families for the child, making them good and useful for the community, for themselves before, for the family. All of these issues came from the team building activities like camping, hiking, traveling abroad, making a friends with other people in around the world during the camps or the jamborees. Last year we was in America, in West Virginia, in the Jamboree, the 24th Jamboree. Me and Yomna also with the Egyptian contingent. We around 50,000 person in the small in the big camp, making a friends, making a cultural exchange. So all of these issues make the person useful and also gain a lot of
Helps his community as well.
helps communities as well,
Yes.
because we have main issues like climate exchange to study, to make projects to environmental issues like cleaning the river, cleaning the environment around us, and we gain some badges if you finish this camp or this activity. Especially for the child or the participants, as we as adults, we have our own trainings like safe from harm training, message of peace training, and you can see in our shirts we have some badges.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to ask Yomna. Yomna, is it related a little bit to military? You have the same thing.
Well, I will tell you something because this is a very important question. Indeed, actually, when people see scouts, they think it's something like the army, as you said. Why is that impression? First of all, as Ossama mentioned, it was created by Lord Baden-Powell, who was actually in the army. So the idea, and secondly, scouts is very organized and very responsible. So it gives you a sense that you are following a system or
Exactly.
being
And there are
in this-
rules that you can
and
never
there are
broke.
rules that cannot be broke, and there is most of important thing, there is respect and unity. There is respect for the rule. Like, for example, I'll give you a very tiny example. The scarf that we are wearing, it's called the honor of a scout. You cannot put the scarf on the ground. You cannot play with it. You cannot use it unless there are proper reasons how to use it.
Like
Our
military
uniform,
badges.
like the badges, like the badges we have here worldwide, you will find every country has its flag on the uniform. So when you are wearing this uniform, you're actually proud. You have the flag of Egypt, the flag of whatever country. So it gives you the impression, it's like
Of belonging.
of belonging and
affiliation, of
unity all
loyalty.
over the world.
Yeah.
And it gives you, like you said, it's like maybe an organized system to be in. We say scouting is like a lifestyle, and it's an organized lifestyle. So it's
And-
not a messy lifestyle.
Yeah, and not only does it have to do, and you correct me, guys, if I'm wrong with the military, but it has to do maybe with sports, with martial arts. There is honor when it comes to taekwondo,
Ahmed, when I mentioned
to karate,
military,
to judo.
when I
to
mentioned
belonging to the
military, I
club.
meant they were alike. Military is like
Discipline,
yes,
discipline.
and
Yeah.
there are morals that they cannot
Yeah.
defy.
I agree with
they
you, by
have
the
their
way.
own
I
rules.
agree with
But
you.
We are
when
similar.
comes
I
to
just wanted,
judo and
I wanted to add that it also has
Yes,
to
we
do.
have
No,
sports.
Yeah,
see,
with-
these
yes.
are
with having-
parts. what Muhammad is mentioning, what you guys do as
Yes.
scouts.
Yes, activities,
Yes.
our
Activities,
activities.
Especially in the Sea Scouts, we have our own activities like water sports, like windsurfing, kayaking, optimists, all of this stuff.
Tell me, Ossama, when did you come back from the US? The last trip? Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah. When exactly?
August.
August. So
Yes.
you were lucky to come back before the corona.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Before
So-
We were lucky all
to
of us.
go, to go. So tell us about your and Yomna, please. I'm sure you've been to many countries in your experience. Have you counted them, and could you tell us of the greatest place you ever visited, if that's possible?
Okay,
to
I'll
answer?
tell you briefly, and then I'll leave
And of course, I
Ossama
want
to
Ossama
talk
to
about
answer the same question,
the
yeah.
Jamboree in the States, because I was there as well. My first international scout activity was in London, and I still remember the date, 1991. I was, I think, no, I'm not going to say how old I was, so
You don't have
forget
to.
about that. Forget about that. But that's my first one. And ever since, I've visited many countries, but for me, the most important that I have honored them on my scouting shirt are the big events. We have every 4 years what we call the World Scout Jamboree.
It's like the World Cup.
Yes,
when it comes to
exactly. It's like,
football
yeah,
or
and this is what Muhammad, Ossama, said earlier. We had in the States more than 50 million, 50,000 scouts from all over the world gathered in one place for one reason, because they are scouts. So here I have on my shirt, I don't know if the camera can get that or not, but I have the UK 2007, the World Scout Jamboree UK 2007, the Sweden 2011, Japan 2015, and maybe our scout Mariam can tell you later about what happened in Japan. She was one of the Egyptian contingent there. And the last one, the States
US,
2019. My favorite...
Where is it going to be in 2023?
Korea.
All right.
Korea, South Korea, yes. My favorite one, actually, that for personal reasons and for other reasons, I enjoyed very much the World Scout Jamboree in Sweden.
Okay.
So this is what I like, because for me, it's personal. Again, all jamborees are great, but for me, Sweden was related more to nature, and I like nature, and Sweden, of course, has a beautiful nature, and the motto or the logo of the jamboree was simply scouting. So we went back to living scouting from scratch. Basics. Everything we did with our hands. You know, you can do scouting with a little bit of modern technology, and you can really go to scratch and basic. So Sweden was, in that matter, really actually very simple scouting, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the country, new for me, different culture. So this was my favorite till now.
Ossama, we want to know your favorite Olympics, if I can may say, because also every 4 years, so it's like Olympics as well.
Actually, I traveled abroad many times, around 10 countries, but for the scout traveling, it was just one, the Jamboree of 24th Jamboree in North America.
Yeah.
So, but it was amazing because it was the biggest Jamboree since Jamborees, the 50,000 person, and also the camp there was in forest, so it was amazing. But for me, in my job, I'm engineering, so I'm traveling abroad for.
What's your specialty?
Textile printing engineer.
Textile?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. So I'm traveling abroad for many times, for Germany, Netherlands, Dubai, and Italy. But the scout movement helped me to gain myself in outside Egypt. I can live with no matter of fear. I can make all my duties with myself since I was a child. So it's no problem to traveling alone in a business trip.
Yeah, of course.
Yomna, do people understand well about the scouting activities, and how do people usually regard these activities?
Well, here in Egypt?
Yes.
Here in Egypt,
and it's okay if you have any comment internationally.
Yes. Well, in
you're
Egypt,
most welcome.
Yeah, Egypt, we have scout groups in all youth centers, in most of the clubs, in schools. However, scouts are not really, you know, I would like to thank Nile TV and thank you for having us today.
Thank you,
It's always a pleasure
Ossama,
to have you. This is in any interview.
No,
and
seriously,
it's always a pleasure.
the media here in Egypt need really to work more on shedding light and putting a spotlight on the Scouts activities. As I said, we are everywhere. Youth centers, clubs, schools, they're everywhere. So the problem here in Egypt that it's not very famous, so this is also where media can help us. And how people see the Scouts activities, actually here in Egypt, lots of families, they bring their children into scouting for one reason. I mean, I'm talking about their idea. I want my child to go to scouting to be disciplined and to depend on himself and herself. So this is
That's a good enough reason, by the way.
That's a good enough reason. You know, I can tell you, you come with us one Jamboree and stay for 12 days in a tent, do your own food, do your own laundry, walk every day.
You want it to go beyond, Yomna. You don't want it to be only this. You don't want the concept to be only take care of my children. I want them to have principles and it's goodbye. Yeah. You want it to be a lifestyle. All over throughout his life.
Exactly, and also to feel responsibility towards community problems, because later on we are talking about the children in an age, but then when they reach the age like youth, okay, they're done with responsibility, they're done with all this, now they start to take responsibility.
I was just going to ask about the volunteer work, because I know that you do a lot of volunteering, right, for good causes, helping societies and stuff like that.
Our promise in scouting, that when we get the honor to wear this scarf, we promise a promise and we keep it, to do our duty towards God, regardless the religion, and to do our duty towards our country. That's the community service you're talking about. And the last part of the scouting promise, to help people at all times. So whenever there are disasters, problems, Scouts helped during the COVID-19. Scouts in Lebanon right now, if you've seen what they are doing.
Egyptian Scouts?
No, Lebanese Scouts, because Egyptian Scouts are not allowed to fly now to Lebanon. But when other crises occurred in other countries, Egyptian Scouts crossed the borders and helped as well in the past. But right now, Scouts in every country, they are doing voluntary work to help their own communities. And in Lebanon, actually, they're doing a great job. They went down the streets, they helped the injured, because we all take first aid courses.
Very good to know. Very good to know.
Yes, so...
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Ossama, and he's... I think the area of your work is very important, especially here in Egypt. The textile industry is such an important industry in Egypt, one that the country, you know, should excel at and used to be a leader in, and is trying to get back to, you know, exporting as much as we can. So how is it going? How is it going?
For the textile, we're facing some problems like the cotton fabrics and the manufacture of the cotton. It was difficult because now around the world it go to through the digital printing solutions and all the stuff, the new technology, and it was very expensive. Not like here in Egypt. It was very difficult to be here in Egypt, because if you know Al Mahalla was a famous factory for textile and spinning, so it was very difficult now to make it with a new technology. But I'm guessing that now they have a new factories with the military, the opening with the president. Yes. So it's a new challenge to make this market became and we be a leader again, because in the past Egyptian cotton was very expensive around the world. I'm guessing that we was in USA last year. We found some fabrics by cotton, 100% Egyptian cotton. So I hope that we became a leader for this market again.
Inshallah.
Okay, Dr. Mrs. Yomna, what final words do you have to say about scouting and the importance of scouting in Egypt and internationally, and the promise you said about scouting and the advice that you need to give for new people to join Scouts?
Well, the first thing I will tell everybody to go on online and read more about scouting. I would encourage every family to...
Do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, of course. We have website for the Egyptian Federation for Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. We have for the Arab region, and we have for the WUSM.org for the World Scout Organization. And there are millions of videos on YouTube about the world events of scouting, so they can actually search all that and encourage every family to send their children to scouting group. This is the first thing, because they will definitely learn more. The second thing that I dream of, and I'm gonna use being here and say, we managed to have the World Scout Conference coming up after its postponing in from 2020 to 2021. It's gonna be held in Sharm el-Sheikh. My dream, and I think
a
Ossama,
piece of news of information.
yes, and my dream, and I think Ossama will agree, one day we want to see Egypt hosting a World Scout Jamboree. Imagine
that's gonna make all the difference.
yeah, imagine 50,000 people coming into the country at one place. What's gonna do for the economy at that time? And the place chosen to hold this event, you know, in the States they were very clever. They chose West Virginia. When I was telling my American friends we're going to West Virginia, they said that's in the middle of nowhere. So I told them, because they want to flourish this part of their area.
Right.
So imagine people doing shopping in West Virginia, 50,000 people.
Right.
So if we get 50,000 people, see what Oasis. No, I won't say Sharm el-Sheikh because it became, you know, very popular destination, but send them to the Oasis. Send them to the Western deserts. What's going to happen to this community?
Yeah,
So this is my dream.
they would look beautiful in one stadium.
Exactly.
If they are in one stadium, those 50,000 people.
And
there.
they will flourish the economy in this part. And imagine this, for example, I'm giving the Oasis like an example, but we have many places in Egypt. So one day, this is my dream, that we actually engage scouting and put it really on the agenda. With its activity, the agenda of our government here, it will have a great impact on our youth and on the entire community of Egyptians.
Yomna, Salama, and Ossama Ahmed Abdel Nasser, you are great ambassadors for scouting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
been a
for
great
having
pleasure
us.
to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It was
Really
pleasure
nice
being
to
with
stay
you.
episode
Thank
of,
you.
Nile Cruise. But before we end up, Ossama, I wanted to know your final words about scouting and your passion and your enthusiasm for scouting.
Actually, my passion to make the childs and the leaders for the future became held at the conference and the activities here in Egypt and became ambassadors like us outside Egypt. It will be amazing for them, for their futures, and it will be good for our country.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yomna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ossama. And
Thank
it's
you.
a pleasure to have you with us. You gave us wonderful, informative knowledge about scouting, and it was a pleasure to have you. Yomna, you know you're a very special guest.
Thank you
Always
very
on Nile
much.
TV International. We have the pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Dear
you.
viewers, you're still watching Nile TV International on Nile Cruise. Stay with us, and we'll be back again. Don't go away.